So today we'll discuss before going to Intune. We require good knowledge on the Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, so what exactly Azure Entra ID or Microsoft Entra ID is? Like previously it's called as Azure Active Directory. So previously it's called as Azure Active Directory. Now it's called as Entra ID we have. What is the Entra ID is? Like it's going to securely connect all the apps, devices, and data in the cloud. We are going to connect. We are going to manage the users, and for the users, we can provide single sign-on kind of thing, multi-factor authentication, conditional access. All these we are going to provide from the cloud-wise itself. And previously, we have like Active Directory. Active Directory we are going to use for the like a users authentication, authorization. In the on-premises environment, we are going to use the Active Directory. But now, like we are going to manage them in the cloud itself. We are going to manage. So for that purpose, what we have is so we have the Azure AD. We have now that Azure AD itself is called as Azure Entra ID. Okay, so what is the difference between Active Directory and Azure Entra ID? We'll discuss. Active Directory is going to be on premises. So Active Directory is going to be on premises, but whereas Entra ID is based on cloud-based identity platform. Okay, so whereas it's a cloud-based identity platform, and when AD has been came into the market is in Windows 2000 server in 1999, like AD has been came, and which is LDAP based, lightweight directory access protocol, in order to provide authenticates and all the users and authorizations, all those it can be provided. But actually, Entra ID is not based LDAP. It's not LDAP based on the REST APIs and HTTP itself because it's a cloud base. Okay, and what is the primary use case of AD is authenticate the devices and authenticate the on-premises users is going to authenticate. But whereas Entra ID is even in the Office 365 or if you have any SaaS-based applications, third-party applications, for all those we want the authentication. For that we are going to use Entra ID. And normally we can join our servers or Windows devices into domain. Now here we can join them into like Azure AD. We can join our hybrid also. Will discuss. And how we can manage the device management is in the AD. So we have the group policies and we can use SCCM or endpoint configuration manager also we can use. Okay, so but here in the Entra ID, how we are going to provide is Intune, and even we can set up the conditional access also. Then coming to the protocols, like mostly the authentication, all those it is like Entra ID is going to use Kerberos kind of authentication mechanism. So the protocol wise, authentication Kerberos we have, where is it is going to provide a ticket based kind of authentication we are going to provide. Okay, so then even we have NT LAN also. NT LAN manager is that is also one of the authentication protocol. Okay, so both it's going to be whenever the user login. Okay, so here the authentication is going to happen based on the uh, key distribution, like that it's going to happen. And whenever the user sends that um, in the NTLM also it's going to communicate. But whereas in the cloud, we are not using Kerberos, this kind of thing. We are going to use SAML. Like these are the different authentication methods we can use in the cloud wise. Okay, so we can provide even single sign-on also. What is the concept of single sign-on is I may have multiple applications also in the enterprise. We no need to remember 10 applications. If we have 10 username and passwords, we no need to provide. All the apps need to be logged in with the single username password. So that's we are going to integrate with with this kind of OAuth or SAML, OpenID kind of connect. So with this, we are going to connect. So how this works also we need to integrate, because even with the Entra ID, we need to provide access to our SaaS-based apps or third-party apps also we need to provide. And even those applications also we need to add to our Entra ID as the app provider or service provider we need to add. Okay, so then in the Open ID also, like we can communicate with the Google or Microsoft for the authentication. Say Facebook, what it is doing is it's going to communicate with the Google account. We can with the Google ID itself we can log in. Like this also we can log in with the Open ID kind of connect. Also we are going to log in. Okay, so these like a maybe like a with the login to Google websites. These all for our applications also we need to provide. So from the Entra ID we can register those apps also, and from that we are going to provide. Okay, so now when to use the Active Directory is we have the complete on-premises kind of environment. Then we need to use those, and how we are going to control that is through the group policies and the SCCM we used to control. Okay, so if you have the physical kind of thing, we are going to use. And in the cloud, we are say suppose we have Microsoft 365, Intune, and Azure resources we have, then we need to use the Azure AD. Okay, and we have the SaaS-based application. SaaS stands for like a software as a service. It's a multi-tenant kind of environment. That means multiple companies, multiple accounts also can use those apps. There also we want to provide authentications, single sign-on, multi-factor capabilities also for those apps also we want to provide. Then those also need to communicate with the Azure AD itself. Normally, all these devices in the normal environment we used to integrate with Active Directory, but now these all cloud-based. That's the reason we are integrating with the Azure Entra ID. And we have the modern authentication also, like OAuth, we have OpenID Connect or SAML. So these kind of authentication models also we are going to use. Then even hybrid environment also, most of the companies will have the hybrid also. That means on premises we have the Azure, we have the Windows AD would be there, and in the cloud we have Azure AD or Azure Entra ID we have, and even what we can do is Azure providing Azure AD Connect or Entra ID Connect. So this we install on our Active Directory, all the on-premises users and devices we can connect to the cloud also. Okay, so most of the large-scale enterprises are going to use, so which model? Not completely on-premises, not completely like Entra ID. They have the hybrid model. If they want to go for hybrid model, what are the things we have is, we have both. We have on-premises AD we have, and Azure Entra ID we have. Then we are going to connect that uh, like on-premises AD. We are synchronizing with our cloud Entra ID. So for that, Microsoft has provided one product called as Azure AD Connect or Entra ID Connect. We are going to call. Okay, so that's like here. Previously, it's only part of Azure they kept. Now they're going to keep Entra ID itself as a separate product. Microsoft suite there is going to provide. That's the reason they're calling as Entra ID. Okay, so mostly we are going to work in the hybrid kind of environments. Okay, so both the things we can manage. So that means centralizedly we are going to manage legacy apps also, and even in the cloud also we are going to provide. Okay, so what are the use cases is, like maybe say suppose we have the employees, they're going to bring their own personal devices, laptops. Okay, so then what Azure AD is doing is, whenever the user is going to access the emails, Teams or SharePoint kind of thing, Azure Entra ID will provide the user identity and conditional access to those devices. Then multi-factor authentication, that means maybe with the authenticator kind of app that user need to log in. Okay. Then what Intune is doing in this is Intune is going to be taking care of device enrollment of that, and even if any app protection is required, say suppose want to wipe the data, wipe off the data, protected data, and maybe restricting the copy paste of that enterprise data. Okay, all these we can do it. Even we need to provide the security for the data loss also. So these all like what Intune is providing. So now here in the both are very tightly integrated. We need to have the Entra ID and Intune also. So then we need to identify the differences. So differences between why in which use case we need to use Entra ID and for which use cases we need to use Intune also. So then whenever the user is coming with the bring your own device means like he is enrolling his own device to access our enterprise applications. Then like a Entra ID role is it is authenticating like a user identity and it's providing conditional access also only that compliant devices as per our company standards. It is going to provide the conditional access, then multi-factor authentication. If all those have been met, then only it's going to authenticate. Then what Intune is doing is like device enrollment of the device to the Intune. Then based on the app protection policies, those all like a user is going to get those policies also, and even we can wipe off that corporate data also. And in the hybrid also, like maybe we have a hybrid kind of work culture. The user either connecting from the office or from the home also. Okay, that means he's say suppose whenever he come to the office, he will use the enterprise like network, and from that he is going to connect. Otherwise, he may be using from the home also you can configure. In this kind of setup also, we can manage that remote devices also can be managed as per our compliance rules, and we can update our antivirus or software versions. All these also we can do patch management. All these also we can do through Intune. But access to all these can be provided by in the hybrid model, those all devices have been synced even with the Azure AD also. Okay, so that's we are going to control even from the Entra ID device. Then, like Intune is going to provide autopilot kind of options and compliance rules, patch management, antivirus kind of updates, software versions. All this can be done by Intune also. Then we don't have a permanent employee, maybe one temporary contractor coming into our office. But I don't want to give the complete permissions. But those external contact workers also required our enterprise apps need to be done. But compared to my permanent employees, I want to restrict that my corporate data. So that kind of like maybe he is accessing from the outside also, means from his business entity also he may be accessing say I'll tell one use case. Maybe Bank of America, we have Bank of America contact employee maybe from TCS, Wipro, he is login. Then the contactor from that B2B, say maybe from the Wipro portal, he may be login as the contractor to the Bank of America kind of thing. Then in the Bank of America, we are going to manage our Entra ID or Intune kind of thing. But for those users, we will enable app protection kind of policy. I doesn't allow my data need to be stored in the client devices. And the copy paste kind of operations, cut paste kind of operations, all those also. And even to take the screenshot also, we are going to restrict to those users. Okay, so for that kind of, say suppose here we have the users externally accessing from the mobile kind of devices or a hybrid user, but we may have a contractor also. Okay, so then like one of the employee devices loss. Okay, so then what is the problem we have is we have our data maybe there and account also. Then block that user session. That session what that user is connected to our enterprise apps. We can block that user session. Maybe resetting of the passwords. All those things we'll do from Entra ID device. And what Intune is going to do is like it's going to be remotely that data will have our sensitive information. We are going to wipe all that data. Okay, and even that device also we are going to remove from that, and all these administration things can be done from the Intune wise. So why we are discussing these use cases is what is the role of Intune we need to understand, and what is the role of Entra ID we need to understand, because both have been tightly integrated. On premises, even SCCM is and group policies are very tightly integrated with the Active Directory. Now here in the cloud, Intune is very tightly integrated with the AD kind of thing. And whenever a new hire is onboarding to the company, we need to set up the user need to be created in the Entra ID, and we need to allocate the users authorizations to the appropriate groups also we need to set up. Then manually we no need to take care of that devices all those. What we can do is, so we can enable autopilot. With the autopilot, what is going to happen is automatically that user will register a self-service kind of thing. It's going to be added to the Intune, and the AD is going to be provided. And whatever the apps, all those need to be installed also is going to be set up. Okay, and whatever the security baselines like minimum dispatch levels need to be maintained, and the updates, antivirus, lock screen policies, all these also we can enforce for the new user through uh, through the Intune we can maintain. Okay, so then what is the advantage is 40 to 50% of the support cost can be reduced with this kind of thing. Okay, so that is the main advantage of autopilot kind of thing. Okay, and what is that meaning of lock screen is it automatically is going to lock the windows. Say if there is no user kind of interaction. Okay, so then what we can do is we can enable device lock also. So maybe I can set up a ideal time of 10 to 15 minutes. And if there is no interaction from the user for the enterprise devices is always one of the best practices. We can set up that lock screen. Say if I'm not at the desk, I open all my apps, then other employees or other users also can see our data or not. Okay, so that is the reason at the enterprise level, definitely we are enforcing. Definitely, we are going to enforcing the lock screen. Okay, so that's maybe your mobile or maybe your Windows or Mac, whatever it may be the device. We are going to specify in the policy like this much period if there is no inactivity, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes like this if we specify, and if that period has been met, then it is going to automatically lock that device. Automatically, it's going to lock the device. And so as part of our company auditing all that, okay, so then definitely we need minimum encryptions are required. Say if I go for the banking kind of, or healthcare kind of things, we have definitely lot of standards are there. Okay, say those encryptions, even in the healthcare kind of domain also, there are a lot of standards we have. Okay, mostly in the banking kind of companies we have PCI. So PCI standards, every application and every product, every device also need to match. Okay, and even we have GDPR also. Like GDPR is General Data Protection Regulation, and personal data privacy. All that we need to provide. That means these all the enterprise standards. Every company need to enforce. Okay, so that is the reason we need to enable the encryptions, and even we need to secure the devices. All these also we need to provide. Okay, so then only for the like encrypted is enabled. Then only I'm going to allow the access. Like this here, we can provide that conditional access. Okay, then here. Say the Intune also is going to take care. All those are going to be providing that kind of security is there on the devices or not. Also is going to be taken care. And even we can do the compliance reports, and those also we can collect also. Okay, so then here BitLocker is here. This is for the Windows we have, and File Vault is used mostly in the Mac kind of encryption algorithms. So these are the encryption algorithms in the Windows 10 or 11. We have the BitLocker, and File Vault we have with the Mac OS. Okay, so in the Intune endpoint security profile, we need to enable these kind of encryptions. Okay, so then we need to create a BitLocker profile for the disk encryption. So what is the advantage is the complete disk is going to, the data is going to be encrypted. Okay, so a lot of companies will have these kind of mandatory kind of prerequisites we have. Okay, so that's we need to enable. So BitLocker is for the encryption. To enable BitLocker is used for Windows kind of devices, and File Vault is used for the Mac kind of devices. And we need to enforce that BitLocker or File Vault before the device is marked as compliant. And if that not compliance is not met, then we are not going to provide the access to that. Okay, that conditional access is enforced by Entra ID. That conditional access is enforced by the Entra ID we are going to provide. Okay, so for all these use cases, say here we are going to use both Entra ID we are going to use, and Intune also we are going to support. That's maybe a bring your own device kind of concept, or remote access, or hybrid kind of access, guest access to the contractors, or we are lost our data, or onboarding a new employee, and mandatory compliance checks also we need to provide and need to give the conditional access to those devices. In all these use cases, so we need to use the Entra ID and the Intune role also we are going to provide. Both are going to give. And in the hybrid kind of model, on premises also we have the Active Directory we have, and even Endpoint Configuration Manager or SCCM also we will have. All should be synchronized for the hybrid kind of environments. Okay, yeah. Any doubts till now? Any doubts?
Sir, you said Azure ID is synced with on-premises ID.
Yeah,
So, how in the back end Azure AD synced with the on-premises, sir. In the networking side, is there anything we need to configure or?
Yes, yes, definitely we need a site-to-site VPN kind of thing in the on-premises network.
Hmm.
Like we need at the VNet level we require that networking all those
So that one we need to take care, or networking people are.
networking team we can tell. Say on-premises we have the VPN, like our enterprise VPN should be there, right? So that means our company will have the VPN when you are connecting from the work from home kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
So they will have the VPN.
Yeah, we connected VPN.
That
Then
VPN need to be synchronized with the Azure Azure VNet.
uh, yes, yes, sir. It is synchronized only
No,
in
no,
the.
I'm telling like your on-premises VPN and our enterprise Azure VNet need to be connected. For the site-to-site VPN, we need to set up that.
Site to site VPN, it will be happen between the branch to branch and
No, no, in this environment with on-premises and with Azure network.
okay,
So one site here is Azure VNet is one site, and your on-premises data center is one site.
okay, okay. Oh, got it, sir.
Okay, second solution what they have is Express route is another solution. Say
Azure Express route, huh?
in the Azure Express route, we are going to sing there are a lot of internet service providers linked to Azure.
Okay,
They will give like a dedicated access between our office on-premises infrastructure to Azure. They're going to provide a private network they're providing.
okay, okay,
It depends upon our office location. Azure will provide their partner networks.
okay, okay,
So maybe if it is Hyderabad, I have like a what they will provide is they already tie up with the Microsoft. They will give a dedicated access, not over the internet.
that is leased line you said.
Guys, it's a laser line kind of thing. That solution is called as express route.
Okay, okay,
So most of the companies are going to use that express route kind of thing.
okay,
Okay, so with that the communication is going to be established.
okay, okay.
Okay, so then here when we go for the Entra ID model also, so definitely it's a shared responsibility model. What is the concept of shared responsibility model is it's not only Azure responsibility. Okay, so we also should have some basic guidelines and compliances we need to follow. So I'll tell one example. Say everyone are using UPI, right? We also should be somewhat responsible, right? We shouldn't share our PIN numbers. So that means both of us will have the responsibility. Okay, so that means it's not only the everything need to be taken care by everything need to be taken care by the cloud provider itself is not correct. Even we also need to take care some security kind of things. Okay, so then if I go for the uh, physical data centers, like everything we need to take care. But if I go for the IaaS, the physical host, networking, data center, all these are provided by
Service provider.
service provider itself. And even if I go for a PaaS-based solutions, okay, even operating system also is going to taken care by the PaaS itself. But if we come to the SaaS, we need to take care even how the SSO is going to happen, identity and Active Directory, and from which device they're connecting, and whether the data is secure or not, encrypted or not. So even for the SaaS-based applications also, always some responsibility would be there for the customer also. Okay, but here, like remaining all will be taken care by. So here, what is this gray is by
Microsoft.
Microsoft. That means Azure will take care. Okay, but whatever is there in this blue, like customer also should be responsible for that. Okay, so in that also, like at the device level, we can't control, but Intune can manage that at the corporate level. And encryptions, information, data level also. So we don't have the control. Mostly the customer will have the control. But that is risk kind of thing. So that's we can control over through the Intune kind of solutions. Okay, if it is on premises, everything end to end, we need to take care. But in the PaaS and SaaS, the most of the infrastructure, applications, platforms, all that provider will take care. Okay, but we need to be responsible for that company data, information, encryptions, and device compliances. All these we need to specify. Okay, that means both need to take the responsibility. Then already yesterday we discussed about the zero trust model, right? Microsoft zero trust model, definitely what we need to do is trust no one, verify everything. Okay, so we shouldn't even that higher level management people also their devices, everything also we need to keep that. We shouldn't trust like anyone in the enterprise. Okay, so now here there are some guidelines also like principles we have. So what are those pillars of that? Like every company need to enforce those all. So always verify that uh, device locations from which they're connecting. Okay, that compliances have been matching or not. Also, we need to verify. Okay, then always give the least privilege access or like a one-time
The
kind
voice
of
is breaking,
access.
sir.
Is it fine now?
Yeah, it's good only, sir, for
Hello.
me. Yeah, it's good only,
Yeah,
sir.
now it's a fine.
Okay. So then,
In middle
what?
of
Sure. What is the meaning of least privilege access is we need to provide only minimum access we need to provide. Okay. Say then the main advantage is unnecessary services, unnecessary features don't provide to the user. Okay, so that's the minimum principle we need to follow to the companies also. If the user want more features and more services, he may access that. Okay, that's like and always some for some of the users will give the temporary access itself or one-time kind of access itself and limited scope of administrative activities he can perform. So that's we need to give only the minimum access we need to provide. Okay, so then there is even in the Entra ID also, we can give the privileged identity management and we are going to give just-in-time access we are going to provide. Okay, so just-in-time we'll discuss this how we can give like from the Intune itself we are going to manage this. Okay, so in the Entra ID, so we have a privileged identity management PIM is there. From that, we are going to provide just-in-time kind of access we are going to provide. Okay, so then always we need to encrypt the data and we need to detect the threats. This is the continuous process and auditing need to be done continuously. We need to audit also. Okay, so these will give us zero trust model and very secure kind of thing in the hybrid kind of environments. The six foundation pillars for this Microsoft has given. Like here, like we need to have very good authentication mechanisms, multi-factor authentications, and least privilege access to the identities whenever the user is authenticating and authorizing, we required. And the devices also, like the compliances need to meet, and that encryptions, data security, all these always it need to match. Then only we need to allow to access the resources, even those are like bring your own kind of devices also. Okay, so then whatever the applications also, whatever the data is accessing, we need to have the permissions and control over that applications also. Then data also, it should be very very secure, and we need to protect the data, and we shouldn't save the data. If the device is lost also, we need to provide the security for that. Then even infrastructure also, we need to use a continuous auditing, continuous threat protection, all these also we need to provide. Okay, and even at the networking level also, we need to have the network level also. We need to check the encryptions, and any attacks are happening, threat protection. All these at the networking level also we need to make sure. Okay, so these all we need to take care. Okay, so these like Microsoft, what it is telling is these are the six pillars we need to take care. Are the identities like users, group levels, device levels, application level, data, infrastructure, networking. All these continuously we need to audit, we need to monitor, we need to encrypt, and we need to provide the least privileged access for our enterprise access. Otherwise, yesterday we discussed, right? Lot of companies are facing huge loss with the data kind of breaches. All those are happening. Okay. And encryption also, we have different encryption hashing methods. All the data, so whenever it is going to travel over the network, we need to enable the public key and private key kind of encryptions, and we need to use KMS kind of our own keys also we can use. Say whenever the data traveling over the network, even it's our enterprise network also, we shouldn't transfer that data by default. Okay, and even in the US also there are a lot of guidelines, like maybe there are some FIPS, FIPS kind of algorithms, all that. Always over the network, the data should be completely end-to-end encryption is mandatory. Even that the data is transferring in your enterprise network also is fine, but the data need to be encrypted. The data need to be, the complete encryption is going to happen. Okay, we'll discuss this. We have the different hashing algorithms also we have. So normally if I use the hashing algorithm, that whatever the text or whatever the sensitive data we have, that's need to be transferred over in encrypted format itself. Okay, we shouldn't directly transfer that data. So that's mandatory. We need to take care, and a lot of standards also we need to follow. And in order to follow that global standards also, Europe countries, they have their own standards, and banking kind of clients, they have their own standards. Healthcare kind of companies will have their own standards. All these also we need to enforce. Okay, so then already we discussed this Entra ID. So Entra ID is going to be like with the Office 365 or Microsoft 365, and all the devices in the cloud, or we have B2B kind of applications for that also. For these apps also, I need to provide the single sign-on kind of thing. And on-premises apps or on-premises Active Directory, all we can control in the hybrid model. All we are going to control through the hybrid model we are going to manage. Okay, so then here we have like a identity secure score. Okay, say what is the in the like we are going to get that secure score we are going to get. Okay, that like best practices and security recommendations how we are going to set up. It is going to audit that device and like it is going to display that one, and what are the security practices we can follow, what is the actions we can follow, that's we can provide. And it's going to provide the one score also, like 0 to 100. Say in this example, what is the score we got? Around 16.18. Okay, so like this here, we can see the score of the identity and how to improve that one. And previously, like what is the trend of that score? All that we can enable. And to that, like a device also, it's going to provide recommendations also. Maybe if you don't have the like maybe we are using any legacy authentication protocols, or we not enable multi-factor authentications. Okay, so risk levels at the identity level. So those kind of practices also it's going to show for us. Like here, it is showing actions also. So these actions, if you implement, again that score can be increased. And definitely our company also will have the benchmark. Minimum the score need to be met. And every weekly or monthly also will have a auditing kind of review also we will have. Okay, so we'll have that kind of review mechanism also we are going to manage. Okay, and we can use Azure Monitor, and with that also we can get all this data we can retrieve. Okay, so this for our devices also will check what is the score we are going to get. And coming to like Entra ID, this basic terminology we need to understand. Okay, so what the first one is, by default we are getting, when we create an account we are getting one a tenant we are getting, but we can create our own entities also, we can add as an like a tenant we can call. Okay, so then here what is the tenant is like our organization kind of like it's a container kind of thing, or maybe like one organization related all entities. Like that's maybe we are storing that users, devices, apps, access policies. All these we are going to manage as a tenant. And we are going to get one, say suppose normal in the AD we have domain name, right? Here like for one domain, like all those policies, all those we are going to manage. So now here we need to register that as a tenant we are going to get it. Okay, so where we can use the tenant is maybe with the Microsoft 365, or with the enterprise apps also for the single sign-on, on-premises Entra ID, like that is that tenant we are going to access. And each tenant will have their own tenant ID and domain name, all that also we are going to provide. All that is going to be. So whenever we create the tenant, tenant ID would be there, and tenant name, then primary domain name, the region of the domain, all these we can get it. Okay, so whenever we want to register your domain, that is also we are going to add as a tenant itself. And whenever you want to register your one external app also, that also will register as a tenant kind of thing. So in the tenant again, we can have our all that application registrations also can be done. Okay. So then directory is again all that objects of that identities, like users, groups, all these we are going to store in directory itself. In the tenant again we have the directory, and mostly we can have the multiple tenants also we can have. more than one like we may have multiple business entities we may have, then we are going to maintain multiple tenants also we can support. So now if you come to the identities. Okay, so now here we can have the human identities like maybe those are our employees, partners, customers, vendors, consultants. For all, I don't give the similar kind of access, and customers may be accessed from one application, and partners may be accessed from one application. Customers may be accessible from one application, but all those also I need to authenticate and authorize. All these also we need to provide. And coming to the mission identities, like we may have the mobile devices, IoT kind of devices, desktop computers, or now we have Docker kind of containers or Kubernetes kind of containers, virtual missions, applications. All these also we need to manage. Okay, so all these also we are going to control. All these are like we are going to add them as the users or groups. Okay, so like this here we are going to add them. Okay, so now if you come to Azure, so we'll come to Azure portal. So now here if I come to this Azure portal, this is the Azure portal. In the Azure portal, we can go for Entra ID, or even Entra ID also we have a separate URL. From that also we can log in. So now here in this Entra ID, so we can have the tenants, all these we can manage. So by default we are getting this tenant, and we can manage the existing tenants we can manage. This is when we create the account. By default one like a default directory is getting created. We can add multiple like tenants, all those also we can create. So based on our domain, we can also create our own tenants also, and even with the on-premises also we can sync. And to the existing tenant, we can add the users, groups, and admin like permissions, roles. By default, what are the roles and permissions also we are getting, we'll discuss. So by default here we are getting different type of roles we have. Okay, and what are the privileged those roles also we'll discuss. That's we are going to assign to the users whenever we are going to use. Okay, so these all the different type of users are going to be connect. Okay, so what are the admin permissions we can give to them, we'll discuss. And what is the difference between user and group is? So similar kind of users, we are going to give the users kind of thing. And external is those maybe from the third party apps, or maybe from the clients or customers. They're going to access to our enterprise apps also. And the guests also, all these use cases we'll discuss. So then here we have the tenants. The tenant is all our, say suppose if our company is abc.com is our domain name, then that abc.onmicrosoft.com would be our tenant name. Okay, and all that our that domain related users, groups, app registrations, all these we are managing as one entity. Okay, so then in that we are going to use the user kind of entity we are going to manage. Okay, so then here if you use Raj is maybe internal user, and guest users, all those also B2B kind of guest users also we can manage. And the groups are, instead of managing permissions individually, always better to manage as a group kind of thing, then add the users to that group. In the large scale environment, better to manage from the group wise instead of assigning permissions individually. Okay, so it depends upon our requirement. We can create different type of groups also we are going to create. Okay, so that's kind of conditional access also, maybe sales team, HR team, IT team, like this are all contractors. Like this, we are going to keep different type of groups we are going to manage. Then even in that tenant also we are going to register apps also we are going to register, because we need to enable single sign-on or maybe authentication mechanisms we need to provide with our like Entra ID or with on-premises ID. We want to provide the access to that app also we need to provide. Okay, so that's we need to provide. We have our own apps to develop on top of our banking portals or our healthcare applications. Those also require the authentication. Okay, so normally previously every application also is going to be linked with Active Directory, and authentication authorization we are going to manage from the AD wise. But now, like these all apps need to communicate with the authentication authorization wise. It's going to communicate with Entra ID. In that requirement, we need to definitely register that app to our uh, we need to to that identity. We need to definitely need to add that to the tenant. Okay, so now even if we want to control SCCM, that is also we need to add to the tenant itself. And coming to the by default roles, what we are getting is, say here important, these all the roles we can have. Say global administrator. So always for every user, don't give global administrator. What always we need to give the least privileges to the users. Unnecessary permissions, say suppose giving for every user global administrator, like they can do everything. They can't contact us to give more permissions, but it's not a best practice for the security purpose. Okay, so for every user, don't give that kind of global administrator permissions. And user administration, app administrator, security reader, and conditional access admin, like this only he can provide the conditional policies only. Okay, he can access, he can create and access those conditional. Like this here depends upon the job profile of that exact permissions we need to give. Always keep one thing in the mind is least privileges itself we need to provide. Least privileges itself we need to provide to the user. Unnecessary permissions we shouldn't give. Okay, and even in the Intune also, here we have a privileged identity management also. We'll discuss those things. Okay, so now here, so here these all the roles, and when we go for the in the identity and the governance, what are the user accounts we have? All these here we can get it, and here we have a privileged identity model also. So to which permissions we need to give. So these all, like first we'll discuss, then we'll add that devices to um, Entra ID, and from the Entra ID wise we'll integrate to the Intune also. Automatic registration, autopilot kind of options also we have. Automatically we can integrate with the Intune also. And definitely Intune also we have the license models. All those we'll discuss in the next session. So we'll create the tenants, users, groups. Then we'll add a VM to this Entra ID. Then automatically we'll sync to Intune also. Okay, so these will start with this, and this Intune to this AD Entra ID also will integrate. That's we'll do in the next session. Okay, so we'll discuss all these users, groups, external identities, all these use cases we'll discuss. Then we'll add a VM to Entra ID and we'll control that. Then we'll manage that from the Intune wise also. Means in the hybrid model, both we required. Entra ID is required and the Intune also is required. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yesterday class video not received, sir.
Yeah, I'll share that one today. Today I'll send both.
And sir, you said you'll send me some videos
Yes, yes,
regarding.
for you, I'll send you that.
Okay,
Mostly by afternoon, I'll send.
sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sure.